that's done, we'll be.
Yeah. Sue, did you leave something outside? Is Russell outside by chance? No, but I mean, telling people to go home?
This is the way I like it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 7 p.m. Please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll reconvene this meeting of the Town Council following an interview period that preceded it. First, by way of announcements, Maple Avenue repairs are nearing full completion. There's one more swale that needs to be dealt with on the west side of Maple Avenue at Midway. Once that's done, we expect all that work to be finished. A note of great appreciation to all of the fiber spreaders that got together last weekend and put down vast numbers of cubic yards of wood fiber in the playground. There's still a portion to be done under the swing set, and that's going to be done by the 8th grade?
Correct.
Under the supervision of their folks. So we're very grateful for those who came and helped with that to get that done quickly, and the playground is now back in full service. Two more announcements, both of them related to something that we'll consider at our next meeting. We're going to convene early at our next meeting in order to interview a police officer hire before the meeting. And secondly, I intend to present you with a proposal requested by the Beach Commission that we proclaim the National Beach Safety Week for the 23rd to the 30th of May. It works out fine. We're going to meet on the 19th, but we'll consider that at our next meeting. Neither of those things is on our agenda for tonight, so we won't take any votes. Are there any other announcements that folks have to make? All right, the next item of business then is approval of the minutes of our last meeting on April 21st.
Motion to approve the town council meeting of April 21st, 2022 as written, unless anybody has any questions or comments on it.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Is there discussion? All in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? Thank you. And next is the 7 department head reports: police, finance, clerk, fire, building, assessor, and administrator.
Motion to place all 7 department head reports on file as written, unless anybody has any questions or comments on those.
Second. Motion is made and seconded. Are there in fact any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. By way of old business, our first item of old business is to discuss and consider a verbal request which the United Congregational Church delegation that came and briefed us last meeting requested of us to consider donating an antique light for their North Garden project.
I actually spoke about this, and I asked how we could get this approved for payment or attain one of these. I did speak with the town administrator. He said he was going to find out how much they are, so I'm sure, or I hope he's found out how much they were. But with the Congregational Church doing so much over there, I think it'd be a nice gesture for the town to supply this light for the project they're doing over there. So if it, I don't know if we're going to need.
I believe the administrator does have some data.
Actually, I had to call 3 different places. Finally, I was able to get one. It's out of Cape Cod. I'm waiting for them to respond, with the price. I sent a picture of our current lights to make sure that they would match, and I'm just waiting for them to get back to me.
Okay, so I'd like to put this on the next agenda so we can vote on it unless we want to. I mean, I'd like to know how much they are. Or if we can move this to the next agenda, hopefully Tony will have some information on it. We can vote on it then too.
Right.
I mean, if everybody agrees that it's a good idea.
Discussion on that.
I'll second
Yep.
The motion to place on the next agenda. The only discussion I have is, who's gonna end up in possession of the light? Is it gonna be the towns and the town maintains it? Is it gonna be the churches? I think that's gonna be figured out, because in the environments we've got today, I'm worried about church and state and all that stuff gets confused. Is it gonna be construed as a donation to the church from the town? Or?
No, it's the one that's missing, if you will.
Right,
in the
I just want
sequence.
it all clear that,
Mhm.
that we're not donating to the church. Not that I have a problem donating to the church, I just want it clear that that's not what this is about. This is about a street light on the commons.
Right.
Uh,
They announced that their intention was, I thought, to improve the conduit. Is that accurate? Am I hearing that correctly? I thought they implied they were going to improve the conduit.
I think what, the last that I heard was they're working with, and Tony may have, he's working with, what was that person's name you were working with?
With Pete?
Peter Derbyshire?
No, not Peter Derbyshire, there was another one that they said last week that was working with you. You and I discussed.
John Gwynn.
John Gwynn. I think what they want to do is they want to try to bury the wires over there.
They all are buried. The
Okay.
problem is they're buried rather shallowly, and the ones particularly on the south side are exposed. And so I believe their intention was in laying out this walk path, or hardscape, I guess is what they're calling it, that they would in so doing be addressing the cable. So here's what I was thinking, and perhaps it answers your question. As they have an interest in those lights remaining on all the time in the winter, and we've had trouble responding to that. So were they able to, as a part of their hardscape installation, bury the conduit more deeply, then our adding back a light would make sense from our perspective. We have the ability now to fully light the east end of the commons, and so we could do that. And I think that would address your question.
So, I guess my question is now, they were asking for a light, are we gonna add the light onto the town's lights? Is it gonna be our light? So it's gonna be our light, we're just gonna make sure there's a light there for them.
Right, they are asking that the one that isn't there be replaced.
Okay,
And
we'll pay the electricity for it.
yes, we pay for the electricity for the lanterns in Adamsville and in.
Right, so if we add the other one, it's gonna be on the time.
Yeah, but
So basically, we're just gonna buy a lamp and put it up over there where it belongs
yes,
online.
but I'm anticipating taking advantage of the fact that in the excavation that goes along with their work, we benefit from the standpoint of we don't have to go back in there and excavate everything to put the cables deeper, which is what we were intending to do.
Can you, what'd you say, it was John Gwynn?
Excuse me, John Gwynn, yes.
Between now and the next meeting, can you talk with him?
Thank you.
And tell him what the town wants to do, and we'll put, hopefully we're gonna put a light on that, in that area.
Certainly.
But what we're hoping he's gonna do is bury the conduit, because they're gonna be over there with a backhoe. Can you find that out for us?
I can do that.
Okay.
The other thing is, my understanding, and please correct me, but I understand that some lights, in particularly on the south side, the one at the very corner in front of the house, actually it's powered from the house itself.
Okay, on the other side of the street?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. So I'm not sure if this one here, can we connect it to the current conduit that we have, or will they power this one as well, even though it's a town light, and that's in similar situations in Adamsville, so I've learned.
Right.
So can we try to figure those questions out, so when we vote on it next week, we can, okay, this is what we voted on, this is what's going on. Okay, thank you, Tony.
Motion on the table to place it on the next agenda.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is to consider adopting a resolution condemning the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I've proposed a resolution for your consideration.
Motion to adopt the resolution condemning the Russian invasion of Ukraine as written by the council president.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded, discussion on that.
Yeah, I don't want to belabor it, but could you just read that for the people that, so the people can,
Sure. Whereas on February 24th, 2022, Russia launched an invasion of Ukraine, an illegal and immoral act of war and the largest conventional warfare operation in Europe since World War II. And whereas Ukraine is a democracy of more than 40 million people led by its democratically elected president, Vladimir Zelensky, Russia is a nation of approximately 145 million, led by Vladimir Putin, a former KGB agent who has been in power in Russia since 2000 and is widely acknowledged to be a tyrant. And whereas thus far it's estimated there have been thousands of casualties, both killed and wounded, and that the invasion has created more than 400,000 refugees. And whereas the privilege of living in a town where freedom from such suffering is a treasure too easily overlooked, now therefore be it resolved, the Little Compton Town Council hereby declares in strongest terms its complete opposition to the illegal invasion of Ukraine by Russia.
thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
You gotta-
Thank you. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next item of business is to ratify the action of the fire chief and the administrator to execute a conditional offer of employment to the second interviewee. That person is Brittany Cunha, for firefighter, as the initial candidate withdrew his name from consideration. We're looking for a motion to ratify that
I'll
action.
make that motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to ratify the action as chief and the administrator. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is communications. First of those is a request from Buzzard Bay Coalition to start its Buzzard Bay Watershed Ride at Secundit Point on Sunday, October 2nd, setting up at 5:30 a.m. with the goal of getting cyclists on the road at 7:30 a.m.
This has never been a problem, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve this with all local and state requirements, if any, be met, and that they tell the fire department and the police department about this for their approval.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to approve, subject to those conditions. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Thank you. The next is a letter from School One, the Director of Literary Engagement, announcing that Marjorie Leary, who is a student at Wilbur McMahon, has been recognized for her short fiction. Her story, Goodbye Esper, is one of 16 stories to receive this honor. And the letter from the organization, the School One, and their Director of Literary Engagement, was that we recognize the fact that there were 175 submissions, 20 winning stories selected by a panel of judges. The winning students will also have their work published in Wright, Rhode Island Anthology. So Wright, Rhode Island hopes that you will recognize Marjorie and her teachers, specifically Michael Tomaso, who was instrumental in connecting his students with local writers and opportunities. I would propose that you direct that we write, and I will convey that on behalf of the council, should you choose to do that, write a letter of congratulations to Marjorie and also a letter to Michael Tomaso, recognizing each of them for their accomplishment and for, in the case of the teacher, for his key role in her success.
So we'll
Second.
Discussion.
I don't know if anyone has met Marjorie, but she's a wonderful young lady.
Yeah.
Her future is just bright and limitless. Some years ago, when I was over at the school committee, she wrote about us with foam trays, if I remember. And she spoke at the school committee meeting about getting rid of foam trays, and we did. She's just outstanding. She's also on the school improvement team, which is a kind of a big deal. There's a lot of adults on it, and she's one of the students on it. And she's articulate, she's smart, she's just a very impressive young lady. And Mr. Tomaso's not that bad of a teacher either. So they make a great pair, and I'll be looking forward to see what Marjorie does moving forward.
Excellent. I'll be grateful if there's things that you think I should include in this letter, please, let's, put our heads together on that, because, this is the kind of thing that you just wait year to year for the opportunity to do, and to say thanks and congratulations to somebody who does well. Super. What do we need here?
All in favor?
Favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Paul did. Oh, he
Thank
didn't. Yeah.
The next item is a request from the United Congregational Church to hold its annual summer fair and road race, July 9th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., south side of the Commons Triangle, for pedestrian only, for craft vendors, and the use of Veterans Field for road race participants.
Motion to allow this to go forward with all town stipulations adhered to, and with the approval of the police and fire departments.
Second?
Motion is made and seconded for approval, subject to those conditions. Any discussion? The solicitor has recused from this matter. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next item of business is an application for a mobile food establishment license received from the Sausage Guy for use at United Congregational Church Fair on July 9th.
Motion to approve this with all state and local ordinance adhered to, and with the approval of the fire department and the police department.
Second?
Motion is made and seconded to approve. Go ahead.
No problem, sir.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is an email received from Lavinia Gadsden, urging the council to discuss transitioning of the town's fleet of vehicles from gas to hybrid and eventually electric vehicles to the town's agenda. She further suggests the town's mowers be transitioned as well. I've given this some thought and have spoken with the administrator and asked that he and I would consider tasking our three department heads who are affected by this. That would be the department heads of the police and fire department, as well as the public works department, to invest some time over the next 2 months and come back to us with a recommendation of how we might respond to this impetus. It seems to me this is something we should not simply take one position or the other, but rather say, here are the pros and cons, here are the things that matter, and then we could make a better decision. What's your sense?
I think it's totally worth
Right.
considering and taking in, all the pros and cons, as you've said. I'm fine making a motion to send this to the town administrator and the department heads to come back in 2 months.
Second.
Do we want to
I'll comment on some of that background. I've seen a lot of people with electric vehicles now. They actually have they call it a solar garage. They got a charging station right there, so you can charge whatever you use, and I think maybe more towards the maintenance department than the police and fire with the smaller things. But you could put up the little solar panels, charge your vehicles, charge your equipment. And
See, they're talking about town vehicles, but the town administrator,
they mentioned lawnmowers and stuff
Right.
too.
but the town administrator and I got together with Carter Wilkie, and he was the one that wanted to know what we were doing in town for electrical vehicles and whatever, so we're hoping to get a couple of charging stations down by the basketball court, and you're still working on that, I'm assuming?
Well, we're meeting with Power Options next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
We'll gather more information on that.
So Gary, can I just, you mentioned it before, and I should have told you before, but just thinking about it just now, I'm really not in favor of the charging stations near the basketball court. You know, you get some crazy person driving to get their car charged up, and I think it'd be dangerous down there. I don't know where else to put it. Right now, it's just off the top of my head. I remember mentioning it. I remember now since you said it. So maybe we have a few spots we can look at. I'd rather not have it near the tennis or the basketball court. That's just my,
Yeah, we can make that decision to see if
Yeah.
we're gonna go forward with it in the future.
They got a service right there, Veterans Field. It's out of the way. So that's another possibility.
do we want to ask for a specific date for them to come back to the
Well-
council with a recommendation, or?
That's
Well, he's
part of it,
working on it
yes.
right now.
Definitely, we can do that.
Okay.
You are broadening a little bit the conversation.
Right,
Now
and
we're
I
talking-
understand that, yeah, and
now
I'm
we're
sorry
talking
that,
about charging vehicles.
right, no, so
Which we've
anyways,
not-
I just wanted to let the rest of the council know that we are looking at
Yes.
that I did speak
Okay.
with,
Elegant way to say we're digressing, sir. Well done.
Elegance is not necessarily one of my attributes, but I'll accept the compliment, thank you. Voting is part of my job, so are you ready to vote on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The next item of business is, I believe I've incorporated Martha Greenwood's follow-up in the sense that she endorsed and is in agreement with Ms. Gadsden's comments, and also offers some concerns regarding fertilization of lawns, that sort of thing. I will comment there that we have just been advised very recently of the fact that our longtime person in charge of fertilization and care for the town's fields, et cetera, is not going to be doing that any longer. And he was, in many respects, a very important facet in exactly what has been brought forward in this letter. He has been absolutely on top of all of the attributes of various fertilizers and how you use them, that sort of thing. So what we're doing is trying to replace him. And we haven't got that person yet, but that's going to be key. And we're not going to take a shortcut and say, well, we'll just have somebody throw some stuff on there and see if it grows. We're taking an approach that says we need somebody who has Bill McGee's, first of all, heart for doing it, and secondly, the skill. So we'll be back to you with that as we determine who it is that we're gonna bring into that role.
So there's
Yeah.
a term for the company or person we're looking for, and I wrote it down, and I might remember some of the words. It's licensed,
The state licensed applicator.
state licensed applicator.
And that actually is correct.
That's
I
a
spoke-
correct term.
I spoke with two of the possible landscapers that probably, and one of them his license lapsed, so he obviously doesn't qualify. And the other one says, I'm definitely not state licensed. So I do landscaping, but I don't do lawn care.
So that's,
But I'm still in the search. There's two other folks. I'm waiting for a response. And I believe one of them may be licensed.
state licensed applicator.
Right. Keyword being applicator, person who applies. Okay. The next item then of discussion is a renewal request received from Earl's Service Station for a holiday sales license.
motion to approve with all local and state regulations adhered to.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And a renewal request received from Trolley Stop Ice Cream for a holiday sales license and victualling license.
Motion to approve with all state and local regulations adhered to.
Second.
Motion.
Pick your choice.
Wait, did you second?
Well, I did, yeah, I did. Use him, okay.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And a request from the Director of Social Services, thank you for remaining with us, Mrs. Sisson, for as long as you have, in which she writes to request a disbursement from the Senior Services account in the amount of $1,100 to apply $300 to defray expenses for advertising the Little Compton Assistance Association, both to make people aware of emergency grants available from the LCAA, as well as to describe to someone who might be interested how they can do so by donating to a nonprofit. That's $300. $800 is to offset unanticipated demand for emergency financial grants from the LCAA that were particularly related to the COVID pandemic. The requests in just two of those cases were for more than $1,000 each. So you're certainly welcome to ask Sue Sisson how it works, but in summary, a person comes forward confidentially to her and asks for assistance. The LCAA considers it, approves it. The funds are then given to that entity, and that group that reviews that includes a number of other people besides Sue. But at the moment, they're requesting funds. This is a line in which we have $5,000, and these are precisely the kinds of things that we want to do with this money.
Motion to approve expenditure of those funds.
Second.
Discussion on that.
Just quickly, Sue, that we have you here. Thank you for everything you do for the town. My question is, and it came up this winter, where someone's heat went off, and it was on a weekend. And so, how does that work with you on a weekend if someone needs assistance right away? Just what's the protocol, and if that happens?
Well, generally, I would get the phone call, and if money's just not there, or they have a previous balance, that would sometimes hinder the people from being dropped off. And I know it sounds horrific, but that's just the nature of the beast. What I would do is call the vendor that they have currently and offer monies for them to make a quick delivery, and then come the following week and fill up the tank or whatever is necessary. There's always either a neighbor that will make the phone call, family member, or very rarely do you get the person who runs out to make that phone call. They're embarrassed. They waited too long, and sometimes when that happens, they use electric bill. The following month, you can tell the electric bill is sky high. But generally, somehow, some way, I will get the phone call, and I will make sure that they have fuel. I've even had individuals fill a gas can, and deliver it, fuel to the house, to whatever. But that's very rare. Usually they know sometime during the week that they're gonna run out. If it's an electrical problem that's causing the furnace to shut down, it's well invested a lot of time for the services to get them up and running.
Yeah, I think.
We can't thank you enough for that.
Yeah, I think if I recall, what happened this winter was there was a problem with the furnace. It wasn't an oil problem, if I recall. So what's the protocol for that? You just have to hope an electrician is good enough to go do that.
We have a list of people, that we would call on if need be, just to carry them over into the following week.
Yeah.
That's rare. Usually it's just a case of running out of fuel,
Yeah.
and it's because nobody checked the tank.
There's always seems to be it's a holiday or a weekend or in the middle of the night. So,
Yeah.
but you're available for those times. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I
All right.
have just
I moved it.
handouts, just to give you an idea. We want to revamp this into a townwide mailing, which we have never done before. Like Bob said, it's twofold. We want people to know that we exist, and the second thing is we would give them information. Since this COVID came up, the fundings have not been as plentiful as they were before, and so that's what we're kind of looking for. But this is just a basic idea. Obviously, you will change that.
Is there enough going by?
Yeah, I don't think.
And referrals are made through the schools, social worker, through the churches, and like I said, through neighbors. We always seem to connect somehow, some way. Through the town hall, Carol is great in taking the information. And since my office is home and I use my own phone, Carol will just take their name and phone number, and I in turn will make the return phone call.
Motion on the table.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you
Thank
very much.
you.
Thank you, Sue.
Motion to place the consent calendar on file unless anybody has any that they want to pull for comments or questions?
Second.
Mr. Chair, may I comment on?
Quicker than
Number
needed.
one, just so we don't have a zoning hearing, so the town is not going to object based on whatever interest it has in the historical cemetery. So in other words, it's an abutter. And if there was an abutter, I'd get myself in a little bit of conflict. We quite regularly don't object, but I appreciate Carol catching this because it would have come up at the wrong time at the zoning meeting. My thought is, if you're not.
So do you need any kind of vote on that?
No,
Just
I know
information?
that no one's objecting.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Any further
Thank you, Carol.
discussion? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Then the payment of bills.
Motion to pay the bills is written.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Having no further business before us, I declare the meeting adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I was gonna pull every one of the consent files.